Here's how to make your Xbox faster than ever. Watch out for this company because they're trying to steal your Xbox account. And I sit down with our favorite junior psychonaut. Let's discuss. Just a reminder, if you take a look down at the description below, I have links for all sorts of Xbox gear. I've been talking a lot about the ultimate wired Xbox controller by 8BitDo. That's down there as well. You can buy it through Best Buy. If you want to get in on this new generation of Xbox cloud gaming, I also have some links for some Samsung TVs that support the Xbox Game Pass app that they're coming out with. Your Xbox account. A lot of us develop a sentimental relationship with your Xbox Live account. For me personally, I've had the same account for going on 15 years, I feel like. Last time I checked, I made it in 2007, Lord Janitor. That's been my alter ego. That Lord Janitor is me, man. It's me, and I am Lord Janitor. Lord Janitor is me. I've developed that bond with it. Well, what if I told you there was a company trying to steal your Xbox account? That's right, BT Broadband, which is an internet company, primarily based in the UK, I feel like. They were running a promotion where if you were a customer, you signed up with BT Broadband, they gave you 6 months of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. That's a pretty good deal. It's $15 over here in the US, so you're looking at like a $90 value. But people are finding out once that promotion ends, they no longer have access to their Xbox account. BT takes control over that account. A customer on Twitter said there's a critical bug in the software for this deal, which means that when the 6 or 12-month trial expires, BT does not relinquish control of your Xbox account, which prevents you from resubscribing. Now, this is a lot of people's worst fear. Already there's all sorts of speculation on whether or not Game Pass is right because you don't own the games. Well, they're taking it a step further now with this whole thing because you don't even own your Xbox account, let alone the games that you've been playing over your trial period. You can still use your account, but the controls for it have transferred to BT, which means you're unable to extend subscriptions in the usual way. For many in the UK, that involves redeeming codes from third-party sellers, which no longer can be done, or buying directly from Microsoft. And what's even worse, this customer, Mr. Williams, and other people who have come out and said they've had similar experiences, they're getting no support from BT. They're saying, there's nothing we could do. And then they're reaching out to Microsoft and they're saying, there's nothing we could do. It's out of our control. With no other options, these people essentially just have to make a new Xbox account, which forfeits all the progress that they've made on their account, whether it's achievements or in-game progress that's in syncs across the board on your Xbox Live account. And this is not a new problem either. This problem was first cited on June 21st. We're over a month into this, people, and still there has been no solution as far as these personal accounts go. Anyway, guys, if you're thinking about taking advantage of this promotion from BT Broadband, 6-12 months of Game Pass included, sounds like a sick deal, avoid it. Please, run the other way, sprint away. Next up, let's talk about Xbox Insider. Now, the Insider program has been on fire recently. Everyone was talking about last week how the Alpha and Alpha Skip Ahead Insiders are going to be testing Discord voice chat, and now they're making headlines again because your Xbox is going to get a whole lot faster. Well, at least the boot up animation. A couple of people who worked on the boot up animation have come forward and said, yes, this is a real thing, including Eden Marie. She was on Twitter saying, hey, did anyone notice that your startup animation is like cut in half? It's gone from 9 seconds to 4 seconds. And I know, guys, that's not like the sexiest thing ever, but it is encouraging knowing that they can make these improvements with the hardware we already have. Now, a lot of people are coming out and writing these articles saying, oh, now Xbox Speed, they can now compete with the PlayStation 5. I don't know where that's coming from, because honestly, I think it's pretty much a wash between the two in terms of their internal clocked speeds or whatever the frick you want to call it. I know the PS5 has some really impressive stats when it comes to loading up games, and also they're showing off that feature in Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart where you can open up a portal and you're in the other world, no loading time at all, it's like instant. But then there's some conflicting reports saying, oh, Xbox runs this game faster in terms of loading it up. Xbox also has quick resume, so that's a feature that I really appreciate as well. I know it's not like entirely comparable with what we're talking about here, but I think that's a pretty cool feature to take into account. I also always have my Xbox in standby mode, so when I turn it on, it's like, bam, boom, I'm ready to go. But that does take a little bit more power. Some people in the comments will even say that it's killing my Xbox slowly but surely. But so far, I haven't experienced any issues. If you want to try this out for yourself, you want to make your Xbox super fast, gotta go fast. Again, like what we talked about with the Discord stuff last week, you have to be an Xbox insider. But it's not as strenuous of a process as you might think. All you gotta do to get started is download the Xbox Insider Hub app on your console. But once that's done, you gotta put in the work, guys, especially if you wanna get to the top rings like Alpha Skip Ahead, who are testing all these cool features right now. You gotta provide feedback on certain builds, and not all of them are as sexy as your Xbox getting faster, Discord coming to your Xbox. Some of it is like, hey, can you check out this language accessibility feature and make sure it's working okay? But if you put in the work, you too can help Xbox inform the next generation of UI updates. So for this next segment, I'm joined by a very, very, very special guest. Chances are you have experienced his work in some way. He has lent his vocal talents to roles like Daggett Doofus and Two Angry Beavers, Zim and Invader Zim, and for all of us Xbox fans, Rasputin Aquato in the Psychonauts series. I'm talking about Richard Horvitz, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm a big fan. Raz has kind of been lifted up, next to Master Chief and Marcus Phoenix as part of this Xbox Game Studios character stable. How do you have any sort of strong feelings about that?
Our journey with Psychonauts from, Double Fine to Microsoft was a long road. When we did the very first video game, it was 16 years ago since it came out. 2 or 3 years prior to that we had started, so almost 20 years between the inception and my participation in it at the very first game. And at the time, we were in the middle of recording it, and all of a sudden, I wasn't being brought back in. I didn't know what had happened. Well, we had run out of money, and this distributor had pulled out money, and then we finally got it done. But it took us a long time to get the first one out. And while the first one was critically acclaimed, it was not commercially successful, which seems to be like the story of a lot of my career, in that I'm always in cult classics. They refer to them as cult classics, which, as my friend always says, cult classic is just another way of saying commercially unsuccessful. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that it wasn't really promoted at the time. When Tim did the FIG sourcing for the game, to do the second one, the FIG contributions, we were like I think we were the biggest, fastest. We made $6 million in 2 days. The game was great, but we were limited to a degree until Microsoft stepped back in and said, hey, do what you want to do. We're like, what?
I saw in an interview that you did for Enter the Florpus for the premiere that you said stepping back into Zim, it was like you were in the studio just the other day, when in reality it had been so many years. Did you have a similar experience with Raz, or did you have trouble getting back into the character at all?
Not in the slightest, because I had the direction of Chris Brown, who's our casting director and sound person extraordinaire. They really had an understanding of the story, which is sometimes difficult in a video game.
Working on these projects and seeing them endure, were you in the studio for Psychonauts ever in your wildest dreams did you think that 15 years later, we'd still be talking about Psychonauts and Raz?
I never say never, although I just said never twice. But I never say never because I know a lot of my shows were way ahead of their time. I knew that it just took a while for the commercial market to catch up. And now when you look at this new game, it's visually amazing. The colors, the artwork, the platform, the voice acting, if I do say so myself, not just me, but the rest of the cast.
What has been your favorite role or video game franchise? As far as video games, what's been your favorite project, favorite role so far?
I would have to say Psychonauts has been my favorite. Oh, without a doubt. Raz is part of me. It's part of my being. I love Raz for many reasons, other than the fact that he's just I get to play a really cool character that does a lot of cool things with mental issues, which is a big part of what we wanted to do with this second game. I would like to see it as a TV franchise, to be honest with you, because I think there's so much there. Let's face it, Raz still isn't a Psychonaut yet. So I hope it will be. I'll get on the phone to Tim right now and say, hey, we have people that want Psychonauts 3. Where are we at?
There we go. There we go. Let's get to work. Let's get back to work. Thank you so much again for joining us. Thanks again, Richard, for stopping by and chatting with us. Go ahead and check him out. Like I said, richardhorvitz.com. He does offer coaching and workshops for anyone someone who wants to learn more about voiceover, and he's got some upcoming projects as well that he was just talking about on the Zoom call, so make sure you check those out as well. So guys, cloud gaming is on the rise, whether you like it or not. You probably fall into two camps. You're kind of intrigued by cloud gaming, streaming games directly to whatever device, or you vehemently hate it. I know Jimmy is not on the cloud gaming train yet. Maybe in the future he will be, but for now, well, I think he just needs a little time to process it. And for the longest time, I really feel like this is where a lot of game companies are gonna be heading, especially if this console shortage, hardware shortage keeps up. I do see the merit of giving games directly to the consumer and not making them buy $305 consoles. But me personally, I don't think it's there yet. We recently just did a video on the channel comparing cloud gaming experiences across a multitude of devices. And the conclusion I came to was that it was a nice option, but not a complete replacement for a traditional console experience. Matt Smith over at Engadget has a completely different opinion apparently. He put out an article not too long ago saying, "With my Samsung TV and Game Pass Ultimate, I don't need to buy an Xbox." Now those are some pretty strong words, because this new cloud gaming experience, Samsung Gaming Hub app, it's pretty new. It's only locked in to the specific 2022 models of Samsung TVs. But this guy, Matt Smith, he has high praise about his experience on the Samsung Gaming app. In this article, he says he played mostly Microsoft Flight Simulator, which that's a pretty demanding game, right? We all know when you play Flight Simulator, it's almost one-to-one creation of the entire world. You can like fly around to different literal cities and continents, and sometimes they even procedurally generate the weather based off of what's happening in real life. Pretty demanding game, has some huge files that traditionally would be pretty cumbersome if you downloaded them. And hey, all you need is a controller to plug right into that TV, and you can play Microsoft Flight Simulator. Don't have to download it, don't have to fuss with it, don't have to do nothing. I really personally don't believe that cloud gaming is there just yet. And like I said, this app is only available on Samsung 2022 TVs. Obviously, that doesn't include all of the other places you can play cloud gaming, like your iOS device, your Android device, your PC, and your internet connection is still gonna be a hugely limiting factor. Jez Corden, he's showing off that he's playing Scarlet Nexus and it looks amazing on his setup, but then you listen to his podcast and he's saying like, well, it works for me because I have amazing internet. I've invested a lot of money and time into making sure I have amazing internet at my home. So okay, that explains it. So first of all, you're limited based off of your internet connection. Second of all, this app is tied to only certain devices. Bottom line, I'm sticking to my guns. I think it's a good option to have. I'm intrigued, I'm curious about it, but not a replacement for Xbox consoles. Next up, let's talk about Halo Infinite. Yes, the game that we all love to hate. Me personally, I think it gets a little too much hate. I had a really good time with this in like the November, December, January months. Played a ton with my friends. We entered a tournament. We got absolutely gulp smacked. It was terrible. Still had a good time. But the prevailing story is that Halo Infinite has no content. It's in shambles. No one's playing it. 343 really messed up. They really dropped the ball. What are they doing over there? And I don't like to subscribe to that negativity. I do agree with some of the points. Obviously not a good look. That campaign co-op, still not in there. Forge mode, still not in there. Season 2, Lone Wolves, sort of underwhelming. I kind of got my fill of that in the first couple of weeks and I said, okay, I had enough. But now we have even more questionable news. I don't know if at this point 343 is just trying to get people to hate their work on the Halo franchise, but we just got news that there will be no matchmaking for campaign co-op whenever that launches. It started with people noticing that there was no matchmaking for campaign co-op in the beta phase right now, and they're like, huh, that's kind of weird because historically you have been able to do that. You could do it for the other game modes, but right now you're only locked into inviting friends to your game or finding them using the looking for a group function on the Xbox dashboard. And then Xbox themselves came out and said online matchmaking will not be available with final co-op. We encourage you to continue to use the Halo looking for group and the new Discord voice call feature on Xbox to find players to party up with as you continue playing the beta. But again, this just continues a trend of things that are not good looks for 343. Giving people any excuse to complain about the game and they will take it, believe me guys. And with little things like this, they add up, right? They mar the image of Halo Infinite, which is supposed to be Xbox's flagship title right now. It's supposed to be the game. I don't know, man. I know they're bringing in some veterans. I know they just got that guy who was working at Bungie. He's gonna return to work on the Halo franchise, so maybe they can turn it around with him. But so far, I just feel really bad that the community has such disrespect for Halo, especially like I said, because I had such a fun time with it when it first launched, but I've kind of fell off on it. That probably is telling. I'm hopeful that they can still turn it around, and you can direct your hate for me in the comments saying, no, Ray, 343, they've had their chance, they messed up, we should move on. We'll have to see in the next couple of months if the wait for campaign co-op in Forge was worth it.